Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel are resident adversaries on the weekly PBS program Sneak Previews. They're both very well-respected film critics based in Chicago, and both have extensive backgrounds in print and broadcast reporting. Together, they've added a new twist to film criticism, and the audiences seem to love it. Please welcome, it's fun to have these gentlemen with us, Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel.
Give that film 4 stars.
You like that, huh?
I like the film.
Oh,
it imitates a film we just saw, Venom, which had a snake's point of view. Here's a dog's point of view. These films, in all seriousness, these films are more interesting than some of the junk that we have to sit through. Disney live-action pictures, Neil Simon's comedies. That little thing.
Whoa! Well, we've taken care of Brando and Neil Simon tonight.
It needs Klaus Kinski to be bitten by the dog.
I think your show is terrific, by the way.
Thank
I
you.
saw it Saturday night, and I guess for most people, when a motion picture critic image comes to mind, most people think of somebody who is kind of goofy, too esoteric, too intellectual, or on the other hand, kind of bitchy and goofy. And you guys just seem...
That's kind of the ambiance we try to recreate on the show.
You guys are just nice, reasonable fellows reviewing films.
I think we're film lovers. We're fans. We like films. We like to see good films. We're disappointed when we see bad ones. And we talk about them to each other, I think, the way a lot of people talk about movies to each other.
This is the thing I heard. I mean, I was in New York over the weekend, and people said, "You're fans. That's what we like. You sound the way we sound when we talk about films." That doesn't mean that we can't talk about a serious concept or serious films. It's just that we do it from a point of view of loving the work, appreciating it, and not taking cheap shots. When I said the Neil Simon remark, that may have sounded like a cheap shot, but it is based on having sat through a lot of his films. And they are not particularly good of late. Ever since he moved to California, I don't think coincidentally, he has not done very good work. And I would just say it honestly.
Yeah.
His films are usually better than movies like Master of the Flying Guillotine, though, which you see in theaters where your feet stick to the floor and people open up cans of tab all over your head. That's very...
But the
That's
problem
real
is
discouraging.
he's adapting these things from plays, and the seams show. The Goodbye Girl was written originally for the screen, and I think that's the best film.
Yeah. What is the origin of this show? How did you guys get together and...
We started about 6 years ago in Chicago with a program called Opening Soon at a Theater Near You, which was over by the time we got the title on the screen. And we did it once a month. We sat in directors' chairs. We hid behind clipboards. We were both very paranoid, I think. I was afraid I would say something very stupid, and Gene would say something like, "That wasn't Fellini, that was Bergman," and I would leave in dismay. Eventually, I think we developed a rapport because we became confident we were working with each other and talking about films.
In the introduction, we used the word adversaries, but in watching the program, I get the feeling that it's not necessarily adversarial positions,
Well,
but you
here's
do
what happens.
disagree, don't you?
We are film critics for the competing newspapers in Chicago. The Sun-Times for Roger, the Tribune for myself. We are in competition. We try to get stories in first. We try to write a better review, better Sunday articles, think pieces. And we play that very seriously. But most journalists, when they finish their work, they go to bars and they bitch about the other person. We, after we finish our work on Thursdays, go to the studio
I have an
and talk
opportunity to
together.
address Gene directly. I can explain his errors and try to correct them.
We talk directly. Then we can go to a bar if you want afterwards. But we do, one day a week, we do talk together. And out of the talking together, we've created something very positive. And I think we have changed. I think the contribution of the show is we have changed the image of film critics. We would rather talk about, most people think critics hate films, are jealous of stars like Christopher Reeve, jealous of his looks and all that, and that we are frustrated. We want to make films, we want to be directors. And no, I like writing. I like writing about movies. I'd rather see a good movie than a bad movie. We love this stuff more. Why would we see it all if we didn't love it so much?
Yeah, that would be a lot of
Apart from
work,
the fact that
right?
we get paid.
Yeah, that's true too. But you spend a lot of time in dark rooms watching movies.
It's something that I enjoy. I love it at 9 o'clock in the morning when everybody else is going into their offices with their briefcases and I'm sneaking into a theater with my bucket of popcorn.
At 9 in the morning.
Sure, 9 o'clock last Christmas morning, I was at the Chicago Theater.
Oh, that's a sad, ugly story.
I've got more just like it, too.
Let me ask you, is it possible for you guys to see a film that you know is good, but to dislike it? And
I don't know what you mean by that.
say you don't enjoy the film, but you know it's a good one.
I saw a movie called Whose Life Is It Anyway? I enjoyed the performance very much. I thought Richard Dreyfuss was brilliant in the film. I disagreed with the entire premise of the film, which was that he should be allowed to die because he doesn't want to go on living as a quadriplegic. I felt that intellectually the film was dishonest, yet I enjoyed it as an entertainment. So I was really split on that film, and it put me in a very strange position. Even to this moment, I'm kind of on the fence with that one.
Yeah.
I don't have a reaction like that. If a film is good, for me, that means I have enjoyed it, so I don't have that kind of a split.
Yeah. Do you worry about somebody shelling out the dough for the wife and the kids or the husband
You know
and
what
the
I
kids?
started to do? Many years ago, I started to pay for the movies. The newspaper reimburses me. But I wanted that little event of taking out the money and noticing that the prices have gone up from $4 to $4.50, now in New York, $5. And just the fact of doing that makes one less likely to write the sentence, it was this little thing was worth the price of admission,
Right.
because most often it is not.
Yeah.
One of the things that bothers me is these films that come out of places like Utah, like In Search of Historic Jesus, In Search of Noah's Ark. At the end of that film, they were still searching for Noah's Ark. And they spend millions of dollars on the advertising campaign. They get the entire family there. It costs $20 or $25 for tickets. It's a disappointment for everyone. The family feels burned. They don't want to go back and see a movie like that again.
Those weren't
Or any
comedies,
movie.
were they? Either of those weren't musical
I
comedies?
laughed a lot, but they were not comedies.
If you gentlemen can hang around for a moment or two, we have to pause. We'll be back with Mr. Siskel and Mr. Ebert. However, at this time, Late Night would like to welcome a new sponsor to our program, Ryder, the best truck money can rent or lease. Hi there, and welcome back to the extravaganza. Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert are here, and we're talking about your television program, which is Sneak Previews, and a wonderful show. Now, it's PBS. You probably couldn't do that on a commercial operation.
We would probably not be able to show so many movies that are not commercial movies. We show documentaries, independent films, and foreign films. If we were on a network, they'd probably want us to show Superman every time.
Yeah.
There may be a flow, too, that in a continuity we can refer to. We know what you mentioned before. Here's the same thing going on in this film, that if it's interrupted by a commercial, I think it would make us less likely. And so we would do little pieces and try and hit peaks right before the commercial break, which is the problem with made-for-TV movies as opposed to regular movies.
Right.
You can have a flow, you can have visual references that can make sense and moments of recognition. These made-for-TV movies, you got to hammer them right before the commercial. Someone's going to get
distracting
nailed.
to see a made-for-TV movie all the way through without commercials because it kind of...
Yeah, it's designed
Goes like-
in that framework. Tell me about, I saw your show Saturday night, and you disagreed on One from the Heart.
I didn't like it. I agreed with the dentist, as a matter of fact. It was overproduced, and it didn't have enough of the human qualities in it, including teeth, but also heart and mind. I thought the actors at all times were overshadowed by Coppola's amazing production, which was great to look at, and I enjoyed the movie on that basis as a technological achievement, but the technology totally dwarfed the people in the film.
The first time I saw the picture at this big Radio City Music Hall showing here in New York a few weeks ago, I had pretty much that same reaction. I saw it again in Chicago before I reviewed the film. I was told that some changes were made, so I felt that I was obliged to see it again. I had spent more time with the characters then. In effect, I had spent 4 hours with these characters. And I felt that the more time I spent with them, the more I got to feel for their situation. This is a couple busting apart right at the beginning. And what I really enjoyed about the film was the fantasies. Each person pursues a fantasy. And people who have ever been in relationships that are failing have this drive. And I found that the fantasy figures, Raoul Julia for Terry Garr and Nastasia Kinski for Frederick Forrest, that these fantasies were charming, and the drive for fantasy, that moment of losing yourself in the fantasy, I thought was very exciting, and I would see the picture a third time.
But don't you feel if you're trying to make a lightweight romantic comedy, it's a bit much to ask people to see it twice? Don't you feel that Coppola could have made a film in which the human values and the fun and the fantasy and the escapism would have been there right away?
If I felt that he could have had more in the beginning of the picture, if we're going to follow this couple for 2 hours, I felt we should have known them better as the film opens. And I still say that that's what's wrong with the picture. One of the interesting things about our show is trying to make qualified remarks. So much of criticism is simply thumbs up and thumbs down. And I think that one of the things we try and do in a longer discussion on the show, not just the normal film criticism that you get with one person sitting in front of the camera introducing the film clip and saying it's stuck, is that we try and moderate our opinions. I do think the film is flawed. There's no question about it. It's just that on our show I have a time to tell you that I did see it a second time and that it got to me.
Can I say
Great.
something? I think your point is an interesting one, and you mentioned earlier, Gene, that once you start paying for these suckers, you're a little more tentative with
Movies aren't that expensive, though. I think $4.50 or $5 today in 1982 is not that expensive
Compared to
what
plays?
Yeah.
I just saw a play here over the weekend.
30
40
bucks.
bucks.
Yeah.
40 bucks.
Yeah. And the folks here tonight, what'd you pay? 20, 30 bucks a pop?
Just to get in here.
I want to mention something briefly that I heard Francis Ford Coppola say. He said that he felt that people were too harsh on filmmakers, and that, I'm paraphrasing here, he felt that the Michael Cimino film should have had a chance to be judged by the public, and he felt that the media decimated it.
Heaven's
early on.
Gate was brought to Chicago, to a suburb south of Chicago, for a sneak preview, its second version, and the audience hated it. Before the critics got a chance at it the second time around.
Yeah.
And the audience in that particular suburb wasn't aware of the New York critical reception, didn't know that the returns were already in, had not heard of the film in particular.
I think it's an objectively a bad film. They tried it
It's
twice,
not a good
they cut
film.
it.
Well, his point was, not having seen the film, I don't know what I'm talking about here, which is true in most cases. But his point was, a film is a piece of art done by a filmmaker, much as a painting is a piece of art done by a painter. And therefore, it should be allowed to hang in the hall right alongside all of his other works.
That's what he did with One from the Heart. He brought it to Radio City. He played it in Los Angeles. 2 audiences who could go up and buy a ticket and walk in and sit down before he had any press screenings or any reviews.
Yeah.
So I honor the fact that he wants to do that. I think it's great that he wants to do that.
I think films have a right to be seen, and I don't, with my review, say don't show it.
Yeah.
I just say I can't recommend it. Our language is very specific on the show. I can recommend it. I cannot recommend it. I'm not saying don't go to see it. That's your decision.
All we really have is our opinions, our subjective opinions.
Let me move along here to the Academy Award nominations. Anything here?
I'm not looking forward to this year's Oscar cast. I'm not really passionate about any of the films that have been nominated.
Which ones have been nominated now?
Atlantic
Well,
City,
Reds,
Raiders of the Lost Ark,
On Golden Pond.
Reds, and what's the 5th one? Chariots of Fire.
Chariots
thank
of
you.
Fire.
Chariots of
Great
Fire.
film, but
And-
not a groundbreaking film. In years past, with movies like Bonnie and Clyde and Nashville, I've really been involved. I thought those pictures represented something.
If you're
This
going to
year-
handicap the Oscars, it's going to be Reds versus On Golden Pond. And I don't think it makes a difference to me, I don't think to Roger, or maybe even to people here, which wins. I think it could be a very dull show.
Do you care?
Do I care? I guess, I'm sort of, I have to have an opinion here, don't I? I guess I'm kind of pulling for Raiders of the Lost Ark.
I would vote for that.
On the other hand, I haven't seen On Golden Pond, so...
Raiders of the Lost Ark was at least pure escapist entertainment. It was
Yeah.
great fun.
And as far
One
as...
of those bruised arm movies.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
people are grabbing you.
Yeah, you know the one that I truly liked, which was I guess not eligible for the Academy Awards this time around, was
Show?
no, the Terry Gilliam film.
Time Bandits.
Time Bandits.
Yes. Didn't you think it was all on one note? Oh, somebody was going to applaud for it.
Well, that's all right. We'll have them taken out back and roughed up.
Didn't you feel it was all on one note? The first 15 minutes were terrific, and the rest of the film was just like the first
I
quarter hour?
I found that to be sort of comforting because once you understood the premise,
You
the
could
theme-
leave and come back and not have missed anything.
No, I found that once you understood the premise, the whole thing just sort of unfolded in front of you, and it was like a smorgasbord.
It was a terrific production.
Yeah.
It was
I
a
thought it
great
was like
looking
your
film.
16-course TV dinner, which had about too many
Really?
courses.
Yeah, that's
and,
interesting.
And, you know, there was a scene on a boat, the Titanic, and
Yeah.
that one I would have taken out.
Yeah.
A few things like that. But the idea is cute. A child's bedroom
Yeah.
invaded in his dreams.
Right.
That's fun.
Yeah, that's what I meant. It's a wonderful premise. You can go anywhere with that.
What's great is that so many different kinds of films find audiences.
Yeah.
You get Raiders of the Lost Ark, and then you get My Dinner with Andre, both at the same time, hits in their own fields.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you about the film or a film that you wrote.
Beyond the Valley of the Dolls.
That's
yes,
right.
one of the 10 best films of the 70s, yes.
Now, was it really one of the 10?
Several, let's see, Richard Corliss, I think, put it on his list of the 10 best films of the 70s. I think he was the only critic who put it on.
Was it a quality? Well, it must have been 10
It was a
best
20th Century Fox production. It was shot in color. It was, I think of it as the first horror rock exploitation musical,
That was, when did you write that?
1969.
Now, I would be very disappointed to learn that you guys were now secretly writing films. Is that...
I have never written one. I feel that I would have to quit this job and throw it all on the table and go out to Hollywood and write a script.
Yeah.
I don't think I can do both.
Roger?
I'm not writing a screenplay right now.
Well, it's a load off my mind. You guys are terrific. Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert. We'll be right back. Thank you. Everybody who participated tonight in You Ask to Hear It Described, of course, receives either their choice of the highly coveted, highly sought-after Late Night with David Letterman facial blotters. Your face has never been blotted like it will be with one of these, or the Late Night with David Letterman sponge. No home would be a home without one of these. So once again, my thanks to all of those folks. My first guest tonight hosts their own syndicated television program entitled At the Movies. They are also two of the most respected film critics in the country, but they've consented to be on this show anyway. Please welcome Mr. Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert. Thank you very much for being here so early in the new year, and congratulations on your continuing success with your new show. Quickly explain how this is different from what people may remember the other show to be.
Not much different.
Not
really.
much different. It's about the same.
The other one
Commercial
was
format, so there's commercials, but that just breaks up the, you know, 4 movies that we review, trading opinions, and then we have a stinker of the week, the week's lousiest movie at the end.
We
So-
work with a skunk now instead of with a dog.
Oh, now how did that? You lost the dog. What happened there?
Well, the skunk is owned by the owner of Spot the Wonder Dog, and I think they're half brothers.
Oh, I see. So, well, yeah.
It's the same family.
Now, since it is the beginning of a new year and people are putting together lists, I'm sure you guys have lists. You want to talk about what you assume to be the 3 best films of '82?
Well, I thought the best film of the year was Sophie's Choice. Second best was Diva. Third was E.T. I think we're...
I liked, much better, I liked Moonlighting. I thought that was the best film of the year, and I liked E.T., and I liked Tootsie. Those are my 3 favorites. And I think that was for Tootsie, which is the hottest film in the country right now. Very popular choice.
Tootsie was just voted the best film of the year by the National Society of Film Critics,
Yeah.
which means something, I suppose.
Now, in fairness to these movies, do the ones that come out later in the year have a better chance at being on this
I
list?
think that you'll find that that's true, that but you try to, as a critic, allow for that and say, you just go back and remember that Personal Best came out in February, and it was a very good film, and just because you just hadn't seen it, you might try and recall, how good it was.
Movies like that and Shoot the Moon. And I think if E.T. had come out as a Christmas picture, it would have been first on everybody's list, maybe even mine.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Because as I think back, you see, I saw Sophie's Choice, and 2 weeks later I made my list, and I was still filled with that experience. But E.T. is also a great film. I think it will last a long, long, long time. And
Yeah.
when we're children again, we'll go to see it.
Now, comment about the ones that he selected that you did not select. The only mutual choice is E.T.
I picked Moonlighting elsewhere on my top 10 list. That's a real interesting film about 4 Polish laborers who go to London and decide to they are hired to remodel a house, and then solidarity is crushed and they're stuck in London. It's a good picture.
So a contemporary film, obviously.
Tootsie I didn't put on my list. It just didn't affect me that strongly. It's a funny film, entertaining, but not one of my top 10.
The one that I couldn't go along with was Sophie's Choice, that's on his list. It didn't make my list or any of the runners-up. I thought that character of Nathan, the sort of wild man...
Played by Kevin Kline.
Yeah, I didn't think it was an interesting part as written, and I didn't think it was particularly well played.
And see, that's where we totally disagree, because I thought Kevin Kline was really interesting in that role.
Let me ask you a question about Meryl Streep she does a little goofy speech pattern. It's
Polish accent is kind of interesting. Jeremy Irons and Meryl Streep were in The French Lieutenant's Woman, and they both went on to play Polish accents in their next film, Sophie's Choice and Moonlighting.
Yeah.
They could have practiced between takes on...
I think one of the things you have to do, though, is when you notice the mannerism, that isn't necessarily when it's working well. It's when you forget the mannerism and you just watch the performance.
Yeah. Well,
Which is what happened to me. I didn't notice the mannerism. I mean, I thought it was a real effective...
But you do, it doesn't keep hitting in the face. It does go
That's
away.
when it's working.
Okay.
I thought it was real convincing.
Are you guys affected by the length of a film? For me, 90 minutes is it.
Really? You
Yeah.
must have missed the endings of a lot of
I
pictures.
have. Yep, that's true.
I mean,
but
the part that you described from E.T., for example, is after you tuned in.
Yeah, I never saw any of that.
Yeah.
But
Are you really serious?
I get a little antsy, and I enjoyed Tootsie a great deal, except at 90 minutes I found myself a little of this and so forth.
That's,
The only pictures that you would like, other than short subjects, would be some very short comedies. Bill Murray has made a lot of comedies that come just under 90 minutes.
Yeah. What's
Yeah,
90
but-
minutes
well,
seems
back
to be
in
a
the
fine
40s,
time.
they made pictures around 90 minutes because they wanted to get 2 double features in every night.
Yeah.
And so you could go back and rent those films and show them to yourself at home.
Oh, okay. Well, we got to go away here for a commercial, and we're going to come back and talk about your collection of the year's...
Stinkers.
Yeah,
Worst.
the bad ones. We'll be right back with Mr. Siskel and Mr. Ebert. Hi there, Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert are here, and we're talking about the films of '82. This would be, as you say, your stinkers of the year.
These were
would be-
like at the 20-minute mark. You want to split.
Yeah.
It's one of the things about being a film critic. You have to go to see everything, including movies that nobody in his right mind would go to see.
What?
through them.
Let's just
Like
start.
Partners.
Partners.
That was one of the worst films I've ever seen. That was a gay cop and a straight cop trying to solve murders in the gay community, and they played it for laughs.
The gay
Real
tries
funny.
to figure out whether or not he can accept his heterosexual partner as
Who's in this?
Was it John Hurt?
John Hurt and Ryan O'Neal.
Ron O'Neal's made a lot of very bad films.
Another real bad one, If You Could See What I Hear, that was the Tom Sullivan story about a blind man who was able to overcome his handicap and become a drunken driver.
Yeah.
That was really, which he does in two different scenes in the movie.
Yeah.
And he also gets a lot of laughs by attacking girls in bars and pretending that he didn't know they were there.
I've seen a lot of these films
just really,
on airplanes. These
depressing.
show up on...
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, any...
real long flights.
couple
Yeah,
of films that Grease 2, Amityville 2.
Halloween 3.
You have a number at the end of your title, and you can safely pretty much skip the picture.
This
That
year
seems
they're
to be
going to bring
a
out
trend, huh?
Amityville 3D, in which everything happens, in the
There are-
direction of the audience.
There are 9 sequels set for this coming year.
Oh, heavens.
And I think it's amazing, probably $100 million in production costs for 9 pictures that I think that most anyone would not want to see.
Well, there must be a history of sequels doing well, or they wouldn't be doing it so much.
It's a
huh?
safe choice for an executive to
Yeah,
make.
yeah.
They don't get second-guessed because they bet on it and they think, well, if they don't pick it, some other executive will pick it.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to make a sequel to Yes, Giorgio, though.
Yes, Giorgio.
No, Giorgio might be a good sequel.
We have some footage of that. Explain the film, and then let's take a look at it.
It's real simple. I don't know if I have to explain the film. In fact, that would be giving more explanation than the film did. But the clip that we have has the worst dialogue of 1982. This is dialogue that you have got to ask yourself how they wrote it, how it was approved, how it was acted, how it was edited, how it was released.
The one thing you got to know, though, is that Luciano Pavarotti, making his film debut and probably his film farewell, plays a character called Giorgio Fini, and that'll help you understand the dialogue.
Okay, so this gets their award for worst dialogue in a motion picture for 1982. Take a look at the monitors at home. Use your televisions. This is Yes, Giorgio.
Do you think I do this for my own pleasure? Believe me, I do this for your own good.
Believe me, it's for a fling, no?
These two, but more.
Please just leave me out of your fantasies.
This is no fantasy. This ticket is real. I am real. Pamela, you are a thirsty plant. Fini can water you.
I don't want to be watered on by Feeney.
Okay. Don't want to be watered on by Feeney.
Who would want to be watered on by
His
Fini?
great line through that movie is, "I will sing this aria just for you,"
Yep.
which is about the depth of
Why
the
couldn't,
opera. in the
why
film.
couldn't someone catch a line like that on the set of that picture and say, you know, you don't have a great opera star saying Fini can water you?
Yeah, yeah. We have other footage that we're going to take a look at. We're going away first, or we're not going away first? We are. We're going away first, and then we'll be right back after station identification to take a look at some more films.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Thank you, folks. Thank you, Paul. Tomorrow on this program, Jay Leno will be here, and also a musician/actor, Levon Helm, will be joining us. That's tomorrow night. And a little later, Joe Sears and Jason Williams from the Broadway hit Greater Tuna. I think it's off-Broadway hit Greater Tuna. Now we're going to take a look at some more footage from some of these films that were not
another
so
really
good.
awful one about this sequelitis that we were talking about. Amityville 2. This is a prequel. This takes place before the first film that came out, and this is how the house got haunted in the first place. And I think if you watch this, this is the kind of scene that really makes you sort of depressed while you're sitting there as a critic. Here's a scene where a priest comes to bless the house, and look at what extreme they go to. They give you one extra thing that you don't need in a movie.
Okay. And you both agree that this is no good, this film? Okay.
Without a doubt.
All right. So, a little something to look forward to here.
My bedroom, Father. Oh, my bed, too.
What happened to the bar? You really want to
People say, people say, gee, I wish I had your job. I only have to go to the movies all day.
Well, that was, you know, that was not too bad. Just like a trip
That
to
was
the
not
dentist.
too bad.
No,
This
it's
is what
just,
happened.
extra barfing? You needed the barfing? It wasn't
You
scary
realize,
enough?
you realize how bad the real estate market has gotten. That's what happened in the house before it was sold to the Lutz family.
Yeah.
And then in the picture that comes out in 1983, they tell you about the third buyers who must have had at least a 9.5% mortgage to even move in.
Now, another big movie of the year, which did not fare well, was Incheon.
This is the one where if you bought a ticket, you got a chance on a round-the-world cruise, a free car, $25,000 in the bank, and still nobody would go.
This is the one Reverend Moon was bankrolling?
Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who was bankrolling it, and I think a lot of people wondered if people were knocking it because of his financial backing. This is a bad, bad movie, and if you want to see, it's a Korean War picture, $30 to $40 million budget, and look how they destroy the credibility of this movie and the Korean War mood with this bombing on a bridge scene. Look who pops up.
All right, bombing on a bridge.
Wearing what?
This is from Incheon again, one of the not great films of '82.
What's he saying?
He spread up the breed.
Jack been visiting a sundress.
Wearing a little sun frock, huh?
Yeah, that's to hedge your bets in case people don't like the bombs.
Yeah.
Trying to get the orphans from one side of Korea to the other, kind of human interest.
Yeah.
And rejoin her husband who's having an affair with somebody else.
In that picture,
Meanwhile,
every time-
Laurence Olivier is playing Douglas MacArthur.
Yeah. This was.
Very bad. Every time you saw something in the foreground and close-up, it blowed up real good, as they say.
Now, let me ask you a point here. Now, if you guys disagree on a film, you announce it to the audience,
Right.
is it thumbs up or thumbs down?
Right.
Now, is that actually fair? If somebody they got to hire a babysitter, there's some money, gas for the car, parking for the car, tickets to get in now, what are they going for generally?
$4, $4.50, $5.
$5 in New York.
$4. And so it seems to me like there ought to be one unaffected decision by which these folks can.
But if I like a movie and Gene doesn't like the movie, then we have to.
But how are
That's the way the chips
Well,
fall.
you can, do the right thing, follow me, and you'll have a good time. You're a masochist, follow Roger.
Well, see, this is what
Now, if you followed his advice, you would have gone to see Halloween 3 last year.
Yeah, but see, this is what I'm getting at. This, if we are left,
And you wouldn't have gone necessarily to see Tootsie right away either.
but if we're
On his
left
advice.
with this kind of vague decision making, it's a short road to anarchy in my book. Now, there's got to be, for example, is there a movie or are there movies now that you disagree on?
Well, I thought 6 Weeks was the worst movie of 1982.
All right, now.
Now, did you see it? Okay.
Okay,
Just
so
checking.
Gene
thought it
thought
was
it was a thumbs up. He said, spend your $5, hire the babysitter, rent the car.
go out and do it. And the other.
I thought it wasn't bad. I thought it wasn't bad.
So now, what are people going to do? We need one unified opinion here. Now, what was the other film?
The Best Friends, that was the one with
Goldie Hawn and Burt Reynolds.
Yeah.
Two
Roger said-
screenwriters, they were best friends, then they decided to get married. I liked it. I thought it was funny.
You liked it, and
I
Gene?
didn't. Exactly. I didn't like it either. I didn't like it particularly when Goldie Hawn, drops her head into the tuna salad. I thought that was pretty desperate.
But again, what we really need from you gentlemen, being professional reviewers, is one solid opinion so folks won't be wasting their time. 50% of the movies they attend. There's only one way to settle this thing. Let's go to the line and shoot some free throws. Come on over here. Come on over here. Why don't you go first, Roger? You go ahead.
Do you use a
step right up.
basketball
Yeah,
for
we'll
this,
get you a
or-
ball, and Gene and I'll stand over here and rebound for you. Thank you very much, Jimmy. Now this will be each of you gets 2 shots per film, and this will be for best friends. Okay, go ahead, Roger. All right, there's 0 for 1.
That was for Dudley Moore. This is for Mary Tyler.
Okay, 0 for 2. Geez, tough luck, Roger, but always a fine competitor. Gene, all right?
Ooh.
Okay.
Heartburn.
All right. We're reviewing the movie. All right. Very nice. Nicely done, Gene. Thank you very much.
What does that mean? Does that mean they go to see 6 weeks?
Well, now that means that you're both in favor of Best Friends. We'll do the recap in just a minute. Now, the next movie is 6 weeks. Roger, here you go. Now, this is the one that you did not care for, right? 6 weeks? Okay, 0 for 1 again here. This is exciting, isn't it?
Yeah. You guys from Illinois.
Oh, boy, Roger, tough luck
It was
again.
great
there.
in the warm-up.
Okay, Gene, for the motion picture 6 weeks, which you liked this one, didn't you?
I like the
Yeah.
film. I'm going to try and win it for the film and for the little girl in the film.
Attaboy. All right.
Ooh.
Okay, one more.
This little girl only has 6 weeks to live, Gene.
Here we go.
Ooh.
She's good.
Well, now you see, the reviewing process isn't always precise. One more shot each on 6 weeks, all right?
Tiebreaker.
Yeah, this will be the tiebreaker.
That little girl's wondering what's going to
See,
happen.
this way Americans now will know that their movie money is well spent. You want to get closer to the line, Roger? Would that help? There you are. Okay, all right. One more for Gene. Here we go. Oh, very nice. Tough luck, Roger. Gene, very nice. Thank you. So we want to sum this up. So it was on 6 weeks, the poignant film of a dying girl's last days, starring Dudley Moore and Mary Tyler Moore. We give it a thumbs up based on Gene's superior free throw shooting. And was there another? Oh, was it one more movie? Best Friends, I think, wasn't there?
Sure. Yes.
Best Friends also, I think. Yeah, Best Friends, the light comedy with Burt Reynolds and Goldie Hawn as a screenwriting team who are best friends but decide to ruin everything by getting married. We give it also a thumbs up based on... Now, this isn't right. I'm sorry, a thumbs down based on Roger's Gene's
superior free throw shooting.
See what this is. We give it a thumbs up based on Roger's superior free throw shooting. That's incorrect, right?
That's incorrect.
That is incorrect. Okay, we gave it a thumbs down based on Gene's superior free throw shooting. And that's it.
Can I have that as a souvenir?
Please do. Thank you very much, Gene. Nice shooting. Roger, nice to see you again. Yes, so am I. We're going to be right back with the gentleman from Greater Tuna after we watch this. Thank you. Thank you, boys. Thank you, gentlemen. Tomorrow on this program, Shelley Winters will be here, and this woman, her name is Editha Merrill. She is 78 years old. Did you hear about this over the weekend, Paul?
I didn't know.
This woman was flying with friends somewhere in the Southwest, and the person piloting the plane became ill, heart attack, died, and she, Editha, brought the plane back in for a landing. 78 years old.
Those old chicks are really something.
No.
Cheap, I know.
It's not why I brought it up. But this is like my worst dreams come true. You know? My next guests have been here several times before, and it's always a pleasure to welcome them back. They are the hosts of their very own syndicated television show called At the Movies with Siskel and Ebert. Please welcome film critics Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert. Nice to see you again, Sharon. Gene, how are you? Won't you gentlemen please have a seat? You guys are nice folks. I always look forward to having you on the show. I enjoy your program a great deal. Nice.
I like yours as well.
Well, that's very nice of you to say. Let's talk about, we're toward the end of the year. Christmas is, any blockbusters to look forward to
I think
here?
one of the best film of the year so far would be The Right Stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's already out, and I think it's a terrific film, and I like it.
It's a real shame it's not making it at the box office. There's another picture.
It's not doing well at all, or just
It's not doing that well
barely?
at the box office. People think it's about John Glenn running for president.
Yeah.
And it's not.
No.
But
I think it's
people
more
have-
interesting than, frankly, seeing the real astronauts. More interesting than seeing Luke Skywalker, frankly. But young people are not going to see this picture. They would rather see Luke Skywalker.
Now,
tell
is
you
it
another one
because...
that's opening- oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, but this is interesting because this was a major piece of American history.
It was shocking to Hollywood that this movie didn't make $100 million in the first 3 weeks it was out,
Now,
practically. Everybody was sure it would be a hit.
I read some people speculated that it was not promoted properly. People were misled
Now
about
they
it.
say that. If people had gone to see it, it would have been promoted properly.
Yeah.
But what I'm surprised at is that young people, literally,
Good point, sure.
young people have avoided it.
Yeah.
That's the one audience that they're not getting.
It's got lots of spaceships in it. It's got a lot of action.
Very
a lot of
exciting,
excitement.
and some great pieces of acting. Lee Von Helm is good in it. Sam Shepard is
Sam
terrific
Shepard is
in it.
excellent.
And is
Ed
it
Harris.
Dennis Quaid?
Yeah.
As
Dennis
Gordon
Quaid, Ed
Cooper?
Harris.
Ed Harris,
Yeah.
Fred Ward.
I keep wanting to say, though, this Wednesday another movie is opening, Terms of Endearment, that I think is one of the most fantastic movies. They had a party here in New York last night and showed it. Were you there?
No, I was
You
not
haven't seen it
invited.
yet?
No.
It's too bad. I wasn't there either.
No, I
I
hear
was at
it's
home
very
watching
good
Alice.
also. Watching Alice. What do you know about the movie?
I have seen it, though. It's a fabulous movie with Deborah Winger and Jack Nicholson and Shirley MacLaine, and 30 years in the lives of a mother and a daughter and the crazy astronaut who lives next door. That's Jack Nicholson. And it's a really warm, heartwarming movie. It's funny, too.
Most films you get one relationship at the most. And in this film you have three going on. You have the mother and the daughter. You have the mother and the Nicholson character, the neighbor across the street, and you also have the daughter and her husband. And it's a terrific film.
Nicholson has this parade of one-night stands through his bedroom, and his next-door neighbor is Shirley MacLaine, who puts up with this for 15 years and finally goes out to dinner with a guy, and they fall in love.
Is he good as a former
He's
astronaut?
Oh, yeah. He's
is
better
one
as
of
a
the few-
former astronaut than he would have been as a present
Sure.
astronaut.
He's one of the few stars that can just smile, and it's very funny.
Yeah.
He is a classic movie star from
He's
the
got
old days.
the eyebrow, you know.
Yeah.
It goes up, and you know that there's something going on.
Yeah, you get a look at him, and there's somebody else driving. You get that feeling.
The lights are on, but there's nobody at
That's
home.
right. Now this won't be a Christmas release. This is already out.
Thanksgiving, but I think it's going to run for a
It's
long
much
time.
easier actually to predict what the worst movies of the year are going to be than the best, because there are other films coming out that people are waiting for.
One thing that helps us to predict them is the fact that we've already seen them.
Yeah. You have a list already compiled of the worst
We have a
films?
short list that we don't think we'll have to revise
Okay,
too
let's
much.
In other
go to
words, it's
work
going to
on
be
them.
very difficult for any film to come out at Christmas time that will be worse than, for example, this film called Nate and Hayes, a pirate movie. Now, if you were going to name a pirate movie, do you think you might pick Captain Blood or The Seahawk?
Be good titles.
Those would
Yeah,
be good titles.
yeah.
Would you pick Nate and Hayes?
No.
I'd pick that title if I were going to make a delicatessen movie.
How about a movie about a clothing store, Nate and Hayes, discount?
Hayes?
Yeah.
That would be
Vincent
good.
Campbell had a great line in the New York Times. He said he knew he was in trouble when the 1850 pirates started talking about anti-colonialism.
Yeah.
Now, this is
Worst
not really...
movie- worst
Errol
movie title.
Flynn never used that word in his entire career.
It's a college board test. Which is not a pirate movie? Nate and Hayes, The Seahawk, Captain Blood.
Yeah. Not a good film.
A bad title to begin with.
But a recent release, right?
Just
It's
out
out,
this
it's
last
out
September.
right now. We have to
Okay.
talk fast.
All right, Nate and Hayes. What else don't you care for?
The Man Who Wasn't There.
I never
You
heard of
missed this one, yes. This is a 3D movie with an invisible star.
3D.
Which is, it's Steve Guttenberg plays the invisible guy, and it's kind of hard to see him most of the time. He disappears, and then occasionally he will appear unexpectedly, for example, to Moon, the Russian ambassador.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the problem with 3D is usually they throw things at the audience, and in this movie, because the star is invisible, he cannot throw anything at the audience, nor can he be thrown at the audience, which would have been a great idea in the case of this story.
3D is this is the year of 3D because other contenders for the worst movie of the year would have to be Jaws 3D or the one that I just saw 2 days ago here called Amityville 3D.
The amazing thing about this, I saw an ad where it said, "This is not a sequel." This has nothing to do with the Amityville horror.
Oh, no, nothing to do. It's just coincidental that the letters came up the same. Right. and here's a bigger coincidence. There have been 2 before, and this one is called Amityville 3D. That's a real coincidence.
If they make another one, it could be Amityville 3D 4.
Right, right.
See, because Amityville 2 took place before Amityville.
We got a lot of great titles
If
this
you
year.
remember that,
I'm
you remember your
confused.
chronology of the original films. The second film took place before the first film, so the famous family in the Amityville horror moved into that house after everything that happened in Amityville Part 2 had already taken place.
All right, now here's the great thing about Amityville 3D, and it certainly isn't the 3D. The trend now in 3D, this is the job that we get in the from the PR departments of these companies. They try and tell us that now the trend is not to use 3D, more organically in the films, meaning very little.
Oh, I see.
When we got to see 3D, it was great. You would always get the billiard shot, that cue coming out, or like they do in, SCTV, where the guys are
You
bobbing
have to have
back and forth.
something thin in the middle of the screen so it will go out without touching the sides of the screen, which was not what happened in Jaws 3D, where the shark was bigger than the screen, so you just saw his teeth kind of protruding further and further over the audience. At the side, he still stayed inside the screen.
It would have been better if it had been Eel 3D, if you follow.
That would have been a fabulous
Just like a guy with a really bad overbite.
Then there was Lonely Lady. Yeah, that would be Letterman 3D.
Letterman 3D.
Then there was another one of the worst films is Lonely Lady with Pia Zadora. And she plays a screenwriter in this picture. She has an unfortunate early experience with a garden hose that kind of disturbs her. And then she marries a Hollywood screenwriter who has won the Oscar, but he divorces her because he grows jealous when she writes a perfect line of dialogue for him. They're stuck. They're on the set, and they're stuck. And here's the situation. The woman is beside the open grave. Her daughter is in the grave. They can't think of a line of dialogue. Pia comes up with the line.
Pia comes up with the line.
The line is, why?
But let's go back to the unfortunate thing with the garden hose.
I'll tell you, David, it's your show, but if I were you, I wouldn't go back to the garden hose.
How about this? How about this? I just got it. If someone is already thinking it out in Hollywood right now, Lonely Lady 3D.
3D.
With the garden hose.
With the garden hose, yes. Now, we have film of this movie. We have film of Lonely Lady. Do you want to take a look at it, or?
It's up to you.
I don't. Of course, I got an advantage. I've seen it.
Okay. I think it's the scene you just described.
I think it is.
Okay, this is from that blockbuster Lonely Lady, starring Pia Zadora. This could be, no, it's not the garden hose scene. We're pretty sure of that.
My team is coming up, and I really don't want any photographs taken.
Excuse me, I'll be right back.
Yeah? Okay, no click.
Hi, Jerry Lee. George Valentine. I'm here doing a couple days for Guy. They wanted me for soap, but I couldn't turn down a Thornton.
It's a good story.
Yeah, he's the best.
Excuse me, but I've got to talk to him.
Maybe we could have a drink sometime, huh?
Maybe. I'll check with Walter.
Who's that? I don't like that.
I remember his name. He's a day player.
How's the trailer, honey?
It's fine.
Hold on to that. I'll look at it later.
They're stuck on the burial.
I know Bud said I did some work on it.
You've what? Did you know about this?
I'm sorry. I thought I could help.
Stick to the job you're hired for, Jerry Lee. That's all the help I need.
Walter, take it easy.
Walter, I know her long speech says a lot.
There's a lot to be said.
Please read it.
I have.
This time, read it.
The woman's burying her child, for God's sake. Her whole life's been filled with pain and hardship, and now the only thing she loves in life is dead. It makes no sense. She has to protest her God.
Right. So she looks at the preacher and asks, why? One word, that's all you need.
A poet might do it in one word, Jerry Lee, but I am a simple screenwriter writing for a simple audience.
That's all you need.
Oh, right.
I think we have to... Well, you've got to give Pia Zadora credit. She is the obvious interpreter for the works of Harold Robbins.
All right, we're gonna hose down the audience now. We'll be back with Siskel and Ebert. Okay. Welcome back, folks. Siskel and Ebert are here. You gentlemen spend an awful lot of your lives in motion picture houses, don't you?
I spent a lot of my life coming right out to right where we are right now.
The old candy counter. Now,
always do this first. Stop here first.
Yeah. Stop here first. Now, is it possible for humans to sustain themselves on this kind of food over any prolonged period of time?
Theater rats have done it for 45 years.
Theater rats.
I think
you haven't done a
probably
bad
could.
job yourself.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. My secret, David, is I think Raisinets in particular. They
like the Raisinets?
They have raisins in them.
I love it. Health food.
Now
This is the candy health food.
You've got to have protein.
Milk chocolate covered raisins. Okay.
That's right. So you got your
Raisinets
raisins,
would be
then
good.
you got your protein and your nuts there.
I want to say one thing
almonds?
about those. You know, they have this book, Real Men Don't Eat Quiche. Real men don't eat Jordan almonds.
Woo! Hey, that's what when I was growing up, that's what we believed.
That's what we did. In the 50s, you were a little strange if you ate German almonds.
No kidding.
Those were girls' candies.
Good heavens, you're taking it on the chin tonight.
Then
Roger.
Well, I didn't eat them. No,
okay.
I always ate sugar babies, actually.
All right, and these, you like these guys also?
Here's what I want to know. I never knew this when I was a kid. How do you pronounce this word?
What did you say?
No, this is not the one. These are the J-U-J-Y.
Juju. See, here's the confusion.
No, see, that's the one that you always think of.
Jujubes.
Yeah, jujubes, and these are
Juji
fruits.
fruits.
Now,
They have a new candy out called, very popular candy called Juji Softies.
Juji. That sounds like a very...
Because this breaks your teeth.
Yeah. You guys really have a difficult
This is
job. I don't think people realize the kind of pressures that go along with this job.
I want to give you a consumer tip. Have you ever gone in and bought popcorn in the theater? Notice a little tab here, and if you tear it off, and there's a star underneath, you get a free ticket?
I
never had that
must say
experience.
that's not happened to me ever.
Do you know why they do that?
No, sir, I don't.
Do you think it's to promote the sale of popcorn?
I would guess so, yeah.
It's to prevent the recycling of empty popcorn boxes. See, because the usher could pick up your empty box and give it to the popcorn person. They could refill it and sell it to the next person. And if you ever get a popcorn box that has the tab already torn off, I wouldn't eat that popcorn if I were you.
So when you say recycle, you mean just pick it up off the floor?
Pick the box up off the floor. Yes, because they have no way to keep inventory on the popcorn.
Check the rim. Check the rim.
So this would be a hint if any of you popcorn sellers out there are going to be working in the theaters tonight.
But you know,
you don't have tabs on the box.
I was always under the opinion that anything that hit a theater floor was there for life. That you never get it up off of there.
Including some of the ushers.
Yes. It took 3 paramedics to get Gene off the floor today to come in here.
The other thing is, here's what's wrong with theater popcorn.
Oh,
You've
yeah,
all
that's
seen these.
fresh popcorn.
Real fresh, right.
Yeah.
Just having to pop right out with a plastic bag around it.
Sure.
That actually comes from Taiwan, that popcorn.
Really?
Yes.
The ushers, come in like this. It's a real heartening sight. They're not in the theater. They're just hauling this stuff like Santa around. The one tip that I can give you is that, and you'll see a lineup of already filled boxes.
Yeah.
All right. And then they put just 3 drops on top, 1, 2, 3.
Right.
And it's not much. It never gets down to the bottom. What I always ask...
It's not even butter.
Well, it's been sitting there. No, they have... If you look at the ingredients on this thing, if you look at the ingredients, you'll see in the last ingredient in the topping most used is something called an anti-foaming agent.
Oh, my.
Here's my tip, though. This stuff has been standing around for a long, long time. Say, could I have some butter in the middle? And what they'll usually do is get you a new one. And you say... So they put a little in here... And then they fill it up.
And then they have a real short attention span.
And you get more that way, and it gets all the way through. So ask for butter in the middle.
But it's not actually butter. It's
ask for anti-foaming agent in the middle.
Anti-foaming agent. Or you can just take your own STP with you. It's pretty much the same stuff. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate your thoughts on the movies and also here at the snack bar. We'll be back, folks, with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Oh, look at this. My next guest is one half of the team that hosts a very popular television program called At the Movies. He is also the author of this book right here entitled A Kiss is Still a Kiss. He is, he's here. Please welcome Roger Ebert.
Hi, Roger. Good to see you again. How are you, sir? Sit right down there. You have a copy of the book.
I have a copy of the book. I read the copy of the book, and I must say I enjoyed it. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
A lot of people don't read it, you know. They just ask you what it's about.
No, I read it, and it's. I can tell you what it's about. It's a collection of interviews you've done with famous movie people.
That's right.
Actors, directors.
That's right.
They're really entertaining. They're actually more like little character profiles than they are.
I kind of try to listen, just to kind of be there and see what happens, and I don't really ask them questions and expect to get answers that are going to make a whole lot of sense, but just kind of let things happen.
It's nice stuff. Well, let's talk about the book in a second here. Now, this is the first time you've been on the show without your friend
Gene Siskel. Yes, he's out in Los Angeles tonight, and I wish him well out there.
What is he doing in L.A.?
I think he's interviewing Greta Garbo.
No.
Yeah, I'm afraid so.
Really?
That's our standing joke, you know. Whenever we get a secret message that the other one isn't supposed to see, it's always that Miss Garbo called.
Do people mix you guys up?
All the time. It's really strange. People always call me Gene Siskel. They never call him Roger Ebert, and I don't know why that is. You know?
I couldn't figure that out.
And then
myself.
they say, no, you're the other one, and I say, no, I'm this one.
Yeah.
He's the other one.
Does he? How long have you guys been together?
We've been together on television about 9 years. We've been film critics about 16 or 17 years in Chicago, but we've really only been speaking to each other the last 9 years.
And what does he do that just drives you nuts? What can't you stand about the guy?
He tells me what I'm supposed to say.
Really?
Yeah, like every time that we come on the show together, he's backstage. Now remember when he asks you for your best movie, remember what your best movie is, you know, and don't give him mine, because that's my movie. But I get that.
You could do the show without him, couldn't you?
No.
Oh, well, see, now there you go.
You know, it's kind of symbiotic, because the two of us talking to each other, I think that's what kind of allows the show to work. If there were one guy who was standing there and he's talking to the camera and he's saying this movie is good or this movie is bad, people at home are going to think, who is he? But if there's somebody right across the aisle who can step in and say that it's not true, then you get a little, you know.
Now, you guys, I heard you're going to go to work for CBS News. Was this going to be with Dan Rather? The three of you sitting there?
Not...
what the hell was that?
Listen, I started with the sweaters about 2 years before Dan Rather did.
Sure.
It was Bill Curtis. It was going to be the CBS Morning News.
The Morning News, yeah. And you're not going to be there.
It was a real flattering offer, but basically we were too busy.
Yeah. All right, let's...
I mean, that sounds strange, but we were.
No, yeah, I can believe it. You have your daily columns, you have book compilations,
and
you have your show.
They wanted to get up on Thursday mornings about 4 o'clock and be there, and it was just too much to do.
Tell me what... I know you ran down your top 10 list. Tell me about your favorite one or two movies for '84.
Amadeus.
I didn't see that. No,
Paris, Texas.
No, I didn't see that either.
This is Spinal Tap.
I did see that.
Stranger Than Paradise?
No, didn't see that one.
Cotton Club?
Didn't see that one.
So, you saw Killing Fields?
You know, I tried to see that one. I really did. We were going to go see it, and then we got doing something
Did you
else.
see the worst film of the year?
Which was?
Doom.
No, I didn't see that one either.
Did you see Cannonball Run 2?
No.
That was the second worst film of the year.
No. Really, that was?
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about the book a little bit. Profiles of a lot of interesting people. Who are your favorites, and then I'll tell you who mine were.
I think of all the people in the book, the one that I remember the best is Groucho Marx, and it was really an experience for me to be able to talk to him.
Yeah.
He was 81 at the time, and of course he was allegedly 76. He told me a story that when the Marx Brothers went to Hollywood, they had 5 years added onto their ages by the studio, or taken off of their ages, just so they would look younger.
So he was actually what age when he passed away?
He was 81 when I talked to him. He was about 87 when he passed away.
And in this little encounter with him, he seems alert and witty, and his memory seems to be very sharp.
You know, a lot of people talked about Erin Fleming, who was his, quote, companion during his last years, as to whether she was a bad influence or not. I think she got him out of the house and gave him a whole second act to his career.
Yeah.
Because he was basically just sitting at home and writing those books, you know, letters to famous people and so forth.
Did you get the sense that there was genuine affection between one another, or was it just kind of a...
Genuine obsession, I think, instead of... I really couldn't really tell you what their private life was like, but they seemed to be bound together into this conspiracy to kind of publicize Groucho Marx. And she was trying to get him an Academy Award, and she got him an honor at the Cannes Film Festival, and she got him at Carnegie Hall. And he told me that he basically would have just stayed at home if it hadn't been for Erin.
Yeah, but he also seemed to be kind of sniping at her verbally throughout the whole piece.
He picked on her mercilessly, and then whenever he was out of sight, she told me things about him, like, don't put in the article that I'm his girlfriend.
Yeah, but she wanted to make sure...
Because I'm really just his secretary, and really I do have a boyfriend on the
But she kept giving you her name. It's Erin Fleming.
It's Erin Fleming, and I'm an actress, and I was in Woody Allen's picture, and so forth.
She's living with me now.
Is she really?
Where are we? We're going to do a commercial, and we'll be back with Roger Ebert. we can go on and on about the stuff in this book, and I want to ask you one more question about the book, and then I have something else. William Hurt. Now, he seems like a very
strange man.
All right, now let me just read this little quote here. Very successful, very sought after, a quality
actor. Yes. Taken very seriously in the profession.
William Hurt. Do I have to wear makeup for the television interview? Press agent. Do you want to? Hurt. I don't care. I just wanted to experience how you would respond to such a question.
That was one of the strangest interviews in the book, and that's the reason I put it in there. I was talking to him for an hour, and I realized that I had no idea what he was saying.
Yeah.
It was all metaphysics, you know. It was like, the reason I'm doing this interview is that I've never done an interview in this particular kind of a hotel room in Chicago before, and I'm interested in having the experience and seeing what it will be like to talk to you.
Yeah.
And then I said, well, what did you think about this picture? And he said, which picture? I said, well, the one you came to town to promote. I'm not really here to promote the picture. I'm here to be here. And it was, and then when you see him, I've seen him on stage and in the movies, he's a very good actor.
Yeah.
I guess he drives everybody in hurly-burly crazy, though, because he keeps changing his lines every night.
Clint Eastwood, very interesting man in this book.
Eastwood, a very intelligent man, very smart, totally different from the persona on TV.
Very interesting, a couple of pages with Woody Allen, and it
Woody
all goes
Allen.
on.
The strange thing about Eastwood, I was talking to him in his restaurant out in Carmel, and this cop comes up, and the cop is a little drunk. He's off of duty, thank goodness.
Are you sure?
Well, he was in civvies anyway. Maybe he was a plainclothes cop. I don't know. But he says something on the Police Association of Laguna Beach or something, and Eastwood has spent the last 8 hours giving interviews to everybody who has seen him. And so, oh, that's very nice, Eastwood says. And the guy pulls out a Magnum. And everybody at the table freezes, thinking, you know, this could be... And Eastwood says, I hope it's not loaded, you know. And the guy says, no, no. And then he pulls out a sharp tool. And he says, I'd like you to autograph the barrel by scratching your name in it, you know. And Eastwood doesn't... I think Eastwood decided, maybe I'd better autograph this guy's gun.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah.
He says, I think I'll just put my initials down. I don't know where it's going to turn up later. It was really a strange moment.
I want to, we're out of time here, aren't we? When we come back, I have one quick question, if we have time. Maybe we won't have time, but we'll come back. We'll be back. We're out of time. Roger, thanks for being here. Also, my thanks to Jay Leno. And quickly, just has anybody that you can think of recently had any kind of success and impact on films the way Eddie Murphy has done it? Anybody?
Eddie Murphy, as an individual, is the biggest star in terms of influencing a movie right now that we have in the country. It's amazing.
Anybody
but he hasn't
in history close?
He hasn't made his great movie yet. And Beverly Hills Cop is not.
But he's only made 3. Yeah, but I mean, has anybody
you know,
had that kind of impact that you can recall?
No, he sold 1 out of every 3 tickets at Christmas this year. That's unbelievable.
That's amazing. Good luck to you, and give our best to Gene.
Okay.
Good night. Go to bed. Thank you, folks. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, everybody. According to an article in Tuesday's USA Today, my next guests are the 29th most quotable people in America. They also earn a few dollars as motion picture critics and host a syndicated television program called Siskel and Ebert at the Movies. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome those two folks, Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert. Boys. Gene, how are you? Nice to see you. Roger, good to see you. Thank you for being here. What do you suppose it is? You must have been flattered to be on this list of
I want to congratulate
people.
you. You're number 13, I believe.
I placed 13th, yeah.
Right ahead of J.C. Flippin.
Yeah. Who? Anyway, what is it that you guys say that you think would be considered quotable?
One of the things that I said is, I like this movie.
You hear that a lot, don't you?
I give this film thumbs up.
You hear that as well.
Then I, of course, have had a lot of people remember my famous line, I don't get no respect.
No, that's not right. That's someone else. You're deluding yourself.
I don't see how else we did it. I mean, we're the only people on the list. There were 100 people on that list, and we are the only number that is 2 people.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
probably
right.
we'd only be 58th if it were individually.
Rex Reed is on here, also a film critic.
I actually said, I created Here's Johnny many years ago. In 1951, at a birthday party, one of my best friends was Johnny Clemens. I lived in Chicago and Fairfield.
Johnny came into the house.
And he was late, and
you spotted him, and you said, the now legendary.
Here's Johnny.
Didn't you also once say hello to Paul, didn't you?
I did say, you all know Paul Schaefer. I said that.
Yeah.
Roger and his mother were with me, and I said, you all know Paul
Stop
Schaefer.
clock is right twice a day. I'm often quoted on...
Now, let's talk about this television program of yours. It first started out on PBS, and then the money wasn't good enough for you guys, so you went to a huge syndicated deal.
So you started out in Indianapolis as a weatherman.
Well, we do what we can. Yeah, that's right.
That's right. You want to switch to another subject?
And now
we don't have a store downstairs in the lobby like you do.
Well, no, I don't make
we're
a lot
not,
off of
We're
that.
not emceeing the Emmy Awards like you
so
are.
Then you're right, David. Then we spent the next
away.
4 years with a syndicated show called At the Movies.
Okay, now that's no longer the show. That's gone.
Well, that show is not exactly gone, but
it will be.
If you tune it in, you won't see us on it. We have a new show called Siskel and Ebert and the Movies.
Now, why do you keep changing programs?
Well, every 4 years, it's time for a change. That was another... I've been quoted on that. I think it was Harry Truman who used that one.
No, that was if it's too hot in the whatever. Now, does this have something to do with one of you guys not working for the paper that you used to work for?
Gene,
Chicago Tribune?
I still work for the Chicago
But not
Tribune.
as their film critic.
I work as listen, I got an elevated title. I'm the, have you know, the syndicated film columnist for the Chicago Tribune.
So is that good?
And it carries...
I think it's good. Yeah. I'm doing it.
It carries less prestige and not as much money. You can certainly say that for it.
So now that's the reason now that you're not...
Actually, I can say what Gene can't say. You see, our previous show was syndicated by the Tribune Company, and so when we left the Tribune Company, I can say, I don't think Gene would necessarily even vocally agree with us.
They have him classified.
The Tribune was mad at him.
Oh, the Tribune was mad at you.
That's what.
For what reason?
Well, they said he was overworked. And my question is, if he had renewed with the Tribune Company, would he have been overworked, or would he be still the Tribune's film critic? And my answer to that is yes. Yeah. But I've already been informed by the editor of the Tribune that I don't know blank about the Chicago Tribune, and I'm sure that's true.
Yeah. Boy, this is ugly, isn't it? I'm sorry I get into this.
It's a real
messy, ugly.
You have a new show now?
Just bring on the movies. Let us review them.
Yeah, that's all we want to do. That's all we want to do.
Settle down. Settle down. We'll get to the films in a second. Now, first of all, tell me about the new show. The new show. It's going to be
same thing. We're going to be arguing about the movies.
Now, who produces this one?
But basically, it's the same format.
But who produces this show now?
The Buena Vista Television Group.
Buena Vista Television, a division of
Walt Disney.
I rest my case.
What case did you rest?
Case
That's a very quotable line.
Yeah, I think that was Judge Wapner who said that before you. I think he's number 11 on the list.
Now,
you took him right off that list.
You
stole his line.
You guys are critiquing motion pictures on a television show produced by a motion picture studio.
We can't wait for Disney to make a movie that we hate.
Really?
Unfortunately, it just so happened the first 4 movies they've made since we made the change have been very good.
And you know what? I got news for you.
Worthless People, The Great Mouse Detective. You love that.
No, I understand that's a very good film.
Let me tell you, last year I made Return to Oz, produced by Disney, one of the year's 10 worst films.
Yeah. But that was before the New Deal.
Oh, now I think it's one of the year's best of last year. I've rewritten my entire list.
Sure, yeah.
In fact, I would recommend renting that tonight after this show. I think you'll all have a great time.
That was the heartwarming children's film in which Dorothy got shock treatment.
No.
That was my favorite scene.
But seriously, aren't we dealing here? Aren't we desperately close to a conflict of interest?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
We'll call them as we see them.
You guys are above that.
Disney has less connections with the movie industry than Tribune, although you wouldn't think so. They're mostly into amusement parks, which I would highly recommend.
Or there's just some vacant land. They have this Arvida Corporation. They own a lot of vacant land in Florida. Just wander. Wander Florida.
Lots then for them.
See, but you know, there's been so many combinations in the media field. This is unfortunate that if you were to carry out your theory, one of the finest critics in the United States, David Denby, who works for the New York Magazine, would have to retire because his company, his publication is owned by Rupert Murdoch, who also owns 20th Century Fox Television. Now, what's he supposed to do? What's he supposed to do? He's a great guy.
We've been movie critics for almost 40 years, if you add it up, and we're just used to basically talking about how we feel about the movies.
We're not. We're almost out of time, so we've got to get to these films. There's a lot of these shows now, a lot of these critic shows, aren't there?
Clones.
There's about 4 or 5 of them, isn't there?
We're kind of like the IBM PC, and, you know.
What do you like this summer? I'll just start coughing out names here. Shanghai Surprise. Have you guys seen that one?
I saw it.
How is that? That's Sean Penn and Madonna.
Awful. Here are 2 very contemporary performers.
And they're married too, aren't they?
That's correct. So you would think they would put them in a contemporary story, and you think it might be romantic.
You'd think so.
It isn't on either count. They put them in a made-up 1937 story. They look like they're dress-up clothes for a Halloween ball or something. And
do we like the couple? Do we care about them?
No, we don't. And those are good questions. And nor do we get a romantic scene.
Okay. Does Sean punch anyone?
No, but he gets carried by a rickshaw. You want to go see that?
Heartburn. What did you guys think of Heartburn?
Real disappointment. Here you have two of the best actors in the movies, Jack Nicholson and Meryl Streep. And what they do on the screen is not as interesting as probably what they were doing in between the takes, as they looked at the part of the script that landed on the floor after the so-called lawsuits and legal reviews. There was a lot of controversy over what could and could not be put into that movie. And they seemed to film the parts in between rather than what really was going on in that marriage.
I think they should have had some fire between them. Seriously, you're talking about a marriage breaking up, and there should have been some tension in the film and a little bit of anger. And instead, we have jokes about how difficult it is to build a house. I mean, what is this, the money pit? I mean, it's garbage.
Let's quit beating around the bush. The real problem is Meryl Streep can't act.
No!
It's a joke. It's a joke!
You also... For that matter, Sean Penn is a wonderful actor. Sometimes they get in the wrong movie with the wrong script.
I think that's one of the lines that you're also very famous for.
That's right. I'm quoted.
He coined that line. It's a joke. You use that quite often.
I'm sorry we're out of time. We get to screwing around with this other nonsense.
We're out of time. I've heard that before.
Yeah, well, but thank you for stopping by. The new program begins when? When's it begin?
The weekend of the 20th.
And what are you going to... you don't know if
September.
you're going to have one. That probably do you?
No.
We got to go. I'm sorry, Gene. I'm sorry. Nice to see you. Gene Siskel. Roger Ebert. Look at that, folks. It's Katie Lang. Letter number 3, Dear Dave, did they like it? This comes to us from Sean O'Brien, Rice University. Well, let's ask them. Boys, what do you think? Did you like this or not?
Basically, I enjoyed Sean O'Brien's latest letter. It was quick, charming, to the point. I had a little trouble with the penmanship, but for what it was, I thought it worked very nicely.
I disagree, Gene. You've always liked Sean O'Brien's letters a lot more than I have. I think he totally missed the boat on this one. It was flat, uneven, and completely lifeless. And I think it belongs in the dead letter office.
Well, summing up, we gave it 1 thumb up and 1 thumb down. And by the way, Dave, I do think you do have the best toupee in show business.
Thank you
really?
very much.
I didn't know that was a toupee. I thought it was a dead animal living on David's head.
Yeah, he's... Yeah, he's certainly the guy to be making jokes about how people look, isn't he? Oh, that could be our last kid. Hi, come on in. Why, look at this. Look who's here, everybody. It's nationally syndicated film critic of the Chicago Sun-Times, Roger Ebert. Hi, guys. How are you? Let's see. Tell you what, we have a little something for each of you guys. I'll tell you, we're just going to clean up here. There's some rubber heels. You ever have to put new heels on your shoes? Here's an extension cord. I'd like you to have that also. And a set of drill bits. Do you have an electric drill at home, either one of you? Oh, okay, there you go. What's your name?
John Paul.
John. Oh, we've seen you before, haven't we? And your name is?
Jamel.
Jamel, nice to have you here. Okay, it's Roger Ebert, kids. Thank you very much. Be careful. Good night. Okay, there you go. Halloween costumes. We got a wonderful program for you folks tonight. Katya Nick is here, Daryl Hall, and Martin Scorsese. Yes, Paul, do you have something else? Okay, that's it. We'll do a commercial and continue right after. Let's go. Here we go. No time. Here we go. Moving on. Number 3. Dear Dave, aren't you afraid that Roger Ebert is going to meet you someday and beat the living daylights out of you? Or sit on you or something, hoping you don't die? Rob Schneider, Kirksville, Missouri. You know, Rob, I'm sure that Roger Ebert understands that any little comment I may have made about him in the past was just a little joke, and it was all in fun. And by the way, you made a mistake there in your little illustration. I believe what you've done there is you've drawn a picture of Gene Siskel, the other guy. It's a common mistake. Here is Roger Ebert. The other guy was Gene Siskel. It happens all the time. I still get them confused. I thought this was kind of interesting because of recent developments in San Francisco now. A judge has ordered Morton Downey Jr. to stay away from himself. So I think something like that.
Dave. How you doing, Dave? I'm sorry.
Right in the middle of the show. It's one of our stage managers, Biff Henderson. We're trying to do a show here, Biff.
I'm really sorry to interrupt you, Dave.
What can I do for you?
I'm just wondering, do they still have movies in this theater?
Do they still have what?
Movies.
Geez, movies? I don't think so. No, I don't think they've had movies here in quite some time.
Oh, okay.
Theater was originally built for films, but I don't think so.
Sorry. Okay, I was just wondering.
Okay,
Thanks.
good luck.
Yeah, no problem.
Movies here in the theater.
Guys, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. They don't have movies in this theater.
Well, thanks, Ben.
No movies at all. But listen, you're more than welcome to stay to see Dave's show. You're more than welcome to stay to see Dave's show.
Thanks a lot.
No?
Hey, you having a nice time? Nice to see you. How would you like this plate of Phil Donahue wearing a dress? Would you like that, son? There you go. I hope you enjoy that. Thank you very much. Here is a way to make a sometimes scary medical procedure a lot more fun. It's the Siskel and Ebert blood pressure gauge. Let me turn that on and see how it works. Here we go. Just having Gene and Roger nearby makes even the most gravely ill person chuckle with delight. There it is. For the last 14 years, our first two guests have been making money by disagreeing with each other in public, and they are authors and critics and the hosts of the weekly movie review program, Siskel and Ebert. Ladies and gentlemen, please say hello to Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert. Here they are, right here. Hi, Gene. Nice to see you. Thank you very much for being here. Roger, nice to see you as well. Thank you for being here. You guys have a good summer?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
How long have you been on?
Humid.
Oh, was it this bad in Chicago?
Yeah, insect problem.
Really?
Yeah.
I was actually, oh yeah, I guess you heard that by now. How long has your show been on the air in one form? You started on PBS, right?
14 years. Originally called Opening Soon at a theater near you.
Uh-huh.
Long time ago.
Yeah.
512 shows ago, I think.
Can you imagine this going on for another 5 years, 10 years, 20 years?
Easily. At the rates we're being paid now, yes. 15 or 20 years.
And did you travel from Chicago together?
I travel from here.
I'm sorry, travel from Chicago together to here.
No, I came from the Toronto Film Festival.
Mm-hmm. And?
I came from Chicago.
Now, do you go... You don't go to the film festivals together, then?
No, we don't do much together. We're sometimes in the movie theater, or the screening room, when we see a picture early. Mm-hmm. But that's it. We just don't socialize. There's no reason to.
Gene at one time did attend the Toronto Film Festival, but he finds he really gets more out of it just staying home in Chicago and reading my reports in the Sun-Times.
Man alive. Wow.
It's true. I know what not to think.
Now, but this is mostly an act. I know. It seems to me.
I'm not really a film critic. I just play one on TV.
No, but you guys couldn't have worked together this long and actually not care for each other on some level.
We did it for 13 and a half of the 14 years.
Oh, is that right?
Actually,
we're starting to care for each other. It's dangerous.
Yeah. It's strange. The last 6 months or so, there's been a reconciliation. Mm-hmm. And we kind of like each other. It
seems
the
like
nice, gentle, intelligent, sweet kind of a guy that he is coming out.
Now, what do you do at film festivals?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, you go to movies.
Who am I looking at? Yeah,
Who went to one?
It would have to be me, yes. You start out at Toronto, you start out at 9:30 in the morning. They have 372 films, 10 days. Biggest film festival in North America.
All films you have not seen?
Mostly films. Well, I've also been to the Telluride Film Festival, the Cannes Film Festival, other festivals that Gene also didn't attend.
And you... do you find it beneficial?
Yes, you get to meet the directors, you talk to the stars, you talk to other film critics, you see movies from morning to night.
Right.
And it's kind of a convention of the film industry.
And seriously, why don't you participate in it?
I'm married, I have 2 children, and I know I will get to see any of the films that we're going to review in Chicago on my own turf. Yeah. Fortunately, the films are the same no matter where you see them, and therefore I would rather spend the time with my family than I think what Roger has found, and it's quite legitimate for him, is a surrogate family of the film world.
Now... Very nice.
Oh, it's really... You see, this is an example. Now, that was a sweet comment, what Gene said. It shows how
I see what you're saying.
He gave birth to a couple of directors and other film critics over, you know.
But now, let me pose here a semi-serious question. Say you've seen a film and you're mild on it, and in fact, maybe you're leaning toward the negative side for a review, and then you happen to meet the director or one of the stars. Does that compromise what was your initial impression?
It's very difficult, actually, because after you've seen it, the safest thing to do is never make an arrangement to interview anyone in the movie until after you've seen it. You know, and then you can call in sick or something.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult. But frankly, you just have to be honest, because you're going to give it a negative review anyway, so there's no use lying.
Do you really think it's difficult? I mean,
yes.
No, because I don't.
I do.
You don't believe that these people like you or care about you. They don't. No, seriously. They don't care about...
They do like me.
No,
of course they do.
That's one of the differences between us, is that I think he
Gene doesn't believe that anyone likes him.
No.
And he's right.
Anyone in the film festival world, I don't believe that they care. They never call when I'm sick. Yeah. They couldn't. When I die, they're not going to care. I mean, no, Roger, that's foolish for you to think that they care about you. They're using you.
You get, over the years, you've been a film critic, what, 20 years?
Correct.
Let's say Martin Scorsese made one of the worst movies of the year. You'd feel hurt, right?
I'd feel bad because I saw a bad film.
But there's nobody you admire more.
That's
correct.
If you had
to go have lunch with him after he made the worst film of the year...
Well, let me tell you, I had trouble
You'd feel bad.
That's you picked the highest example. My favorite director and him making a horrible film. He hasn't done it yet. When he made... The
Color of Money.
No, Color of Money, I felt bad, but what am I going to do? I called it as I saw it. You did too. What's the big deal?
It's true.
I'm sleepy.
Maybe you want to be liked. You're sleepy?
I'm sleepy.
That's why we'll be cutting back.
I know. You know, this show is on very late at night.
I know. I have other questions about this film festival procedure, but we'll do a commercial and we'll come back and we'll talk about the summer blockbusters. Is that all right?
That's fine with me.
Okay, great. Siskel and Ebert. Now, I was talking to you during the commercial, Gene. Which are the better film festivals?
You're asking me.
Either
one.
I already
told him.
We chatted.
Cannes is the most important.
Most important, but as far as quality of the films and...
Quality of the films is different from year to year. Cannes shows almost everything, so it would be the most... In North America, Montreal...
Most prestigious, then, as well, you think?
Oh, Cannes, definitely, yeah. And then there's Venice and Berlin. You know, it's really hard to go to these places like Venice and the French Riviera, but as a film critic...
It must be fun, though, as well as a grueling day for you.
Yes, it is, yes.
All right, let's now run down the summer blockbusters. I've seen a few of them. And this was a big summer, the biggest summer in the history of film making, right? As far as dollars
$2 billion, I think.
$2 billion,
Something
okay.
like that.
What did you guys think of Batman?
Loved it. Loved the mood of it.
Yeah.
I felt that it was great that a whole bunch of young people who went to see this expecting a cartoon kind of picture got to see a real director, David Lynch, really make... Oh, that's not David Lynch. What the hell is his name? Tim Burton. That's good. Is this show broadcast nationally?
No, just a little local thing.
Oh, that's good. Well, then I don't have to worry about that mistake at all. I better go to some film festivals, I think.
In fact, David Lynch was in the film. He was playing Batman doing his Michael Keaton imitation. With a mask you could hardly tell.
Now, what did you think?
I liked it.
You didn't like Batman?
I gave it a thumbs down, marginally. I thought it was...
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let him speak his piece.
So many people are here who could learn something now.
Did you see the Tim Burton version or the David Lynch version?
The Tim Burton version, the same one you saw. The art direction was fabulous. The movie really
had a
looked
nice feel.
good. I felt,
and the sound.
And Nicholson was good. I felt the Batman character was underwritten, that Michael Keaton, who was one of the best actors around, was not given that much to do. The character came off kind of flat, and the story was disappointing, including the shootout at the end where the Joker is shooting at the Batplane, and you know.
But
it was.
Oh, you would tell someone.
A pocket of intelligence.
You would tell people not to see the picture?
I would tell people, look, this movie is so great looking, you should go to see it, but you'll probably be disappointed afterwards.
Then why did you give a thumbs down on our show?
Because our criteria is, do I approve of the movie or not, in toto. Now, I go to a lot of movies I give thumbs down to.
But you go to all of them, obviously.
That's right.
Now we're both in trouble.
But now wait, can I interject one little thing here, and I would like your opinion on this.
Now that's dumber than what I did. I mean, I slipped on a name.
Yeah.
He stumbled on a whole concept.
That's right.
Which is that you do see all the pictures and then
It's better to misspeak than to be wrong.
Yeah, but he wore a tie. Now, let me just say one thing about Batman, and then you guys who are professionals, you tell me if I'm nuts or if I'm close to something here. All along, we heard Keaton compared to Nicholson like the neophyte versus the veteran actor, and the veteran actor, Nicholson, will eat Keaton alive on the screen, so on and so forth. So I go to the film, and I see Keaton, I think, doing a great job, being a very restrained, very low-key, underplayed version of Batman, and it kind of fills in the blanks for all of us not knowing exactly what to expect from, you know, who the hell is Batman? So, but I think he does a great job of that. And on the other hand, it was Nicholson who was just, as the Joker, going nuts. So my feeling in this particular film, I thought Keaton did every bit as good a job acting as did Nicholson.
I agree.
He's a very good actor. He should have got an Academy Award nomination for Clean and Sober a year ago. I felt that the character itself didn't give him enough to do. That what happened was, after Nicholson got there, you know, they rewrote his part. They enlarged it. It was supposed to be a supporting part. He actually, I think, had a bigger role in the movie than Batman did. Sure. And that took over and detracted from Batman, and because of that, that's why the movie didn't work as well as it should.
I think that Tim Burton obviously cut the film more for the laughs.
I think actually Burton was the director. Somebody else cut it.
Okay, all right. Oh, come on. Right. But I think you're absolutely right. I think that Keaton was just fine. How much do they have to tell us about Batman? I mean, they're going to have to do a sequel, though. We'll go back earlier in time.
They probably will do a sequel. It's going to make, they claim it's going to make Nicholson alone $60 million.
Yeah, but I don't believe that. No, I think he was on an hourly wage for that. Let's see. Let's go down here to, well, let's see. Worst films. What were the worst films of the summer?
There was one called She's Out of Control. With Tony Danza as the dad. Do I have to tell you any more? He was sort of having fantasies about his daughter's sexuality and all that.
Man.
Yeah. And I said on the air, and actually I said it after the screening, after we saw it, and I felt it throughout watching this picture. I thought, you know, maybe I'll just quit.
But, you know, I know that feeling. I understand that feeling. Sometimes you put down your money and you go in and you say to yourself, geez, we've seen this particular cliche a dozen times. Why bother? Where did they get the $10, $12 million to throw up another one on the screen?
Yeah, it's, you know, the line we have is that it's 2 hours out of your life and you don't get it back at the end.
Yeah. Hey, that might work for this show. Put that on T-shirts. Honey, I Ate the Kids.
Shrunk the Kids.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Everybody makes mistakes.
Yeah. They had some very good special effects in that, too, when the kids were...
Rick Moranis was funny in that?
I didn't like the movie.
I
was disappointed in it. The special effects were good, but the story was really dumb. They're being chased by grasshoppers and so forth. It's The Fly all over again.
It's, what are we doing now? Have I really screwed up the thing here?
No.
Huh?
No.
We're late, right?
Yes.
And so what do we do now?
Commercial.
I do a commercial and then Gene and Roger stay or they go? They go. We go. Okay.
I hope you don't make any movies.
It's Gene Siskel, Roger Ebert. Gentlemen, nice to see you. We'll be right back.